everyone, to another episode of Spooky Japan Podcast. Today we have Reverend Dr. Ken Torres with us. How are you doing?
I am doing all right. Oh, my camera's not even on.
I was like, are you still with us?
I'm here.
For those of you, for our listeners out there who may not be aware of who you are, how would you introduce yourself?
Well, Reverend Dr. Kenneth Torres. A lot of people call me Father Ken or Dr. Ken. I am a medically retired U.S. Marine, I'm a wounded warrior, board certified mental health coach. I am a chaplain. I have a master's in pastoral counseling, a doctorate in theology and divinity. I am the Spanish division director for the War and Legacy Foundation for Paranormal Research, and I am the chief exorcist of the United Episcopal Catholic Communion Solomonic Order of Saint Michael the Archangel. I'm just me. I'm just a guy that's serving people and trying to help people the very best way that I can and help people understand the dangers of the paranormal, minimizing fear, and that sort of stuff.
That's always good to have. So there is one thing I do like to ask people who know demonology is how much training or research do you have to do for that?
So I always tell people I'm not necessarily a demonologist per se. That's not my forte. So demonology is actually a theological course that you have to take in seminary school, essentially understanding the history of demons, their attributes, their behaviors, that sort of stuff. But for me, as an exorcist, I don't concern myself about that. My job is to help the afflicted, pray for them, do the deliverance, and help people get back on track. I have an assessment team that is trained for that. And so they have undergone theological training, they're of the faith, and so they have 15 plus years experience doing it. And I work with other people as well, like Rich Valdez and Bill Slevin. And Chris McKinnell and Joe Frankie and everyone else from the War and Legacy Foundation.
Yeah, I always like to ask just because we're finding more people in the paranormal community just kind of wake up one day and they're just like, you know what? I'm going to be a demonologist, and they read one book and they're good, or they take one online class and they think they're good, and I'm just like, it's more than that. Someone who has done the online course and read a book. I will admit that I do study some basic demonology. I still do, just from my knowledge, but I can also say it's not enough for me to wake up.
And there's nothing wrong. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with studying online. There's nothing wrong with doing research. I tell people knowledge is power, right? You know, there is an abundant plethora of resources within the internet, right? And so understanding and reading about these things is a good skill to have. But the practical application, that is where that training comes in. It's more than just the encyclopedia of demons and angels. And also, what type of demonology are you familiar with? What type of demonology are you studying? Is it Judaic, Arabic, Islamic? Well,
I don't.
Arabic,
That's the problem. Is there's so many different. I don't know the proper term. Not different types.
There's so many different ologies, right? And a lot of it also has to deal with, what faith you're specializing in. I suppose when people say that they are demonologists, they're referring to Christian demonology, Judaic demonology. But I ask, what about Islamic demonology? What about, Taoism and Buddhism and Shintoism and Hinduism? There are different beliefs and pantheons around the world. And so where are you getting your information from? And so with that, I tell people, just be careful. It's okay to research and understand these things, but taking a course online and taking a test and passing it, and then getting a certificate doesn't necessarily make you a demonologist. That takes time. It takes years. It takes experience. You have to have work cases. Have you been on any exorcism cases? Have you done possession cases? Now, were you trained by the church? What church was it? Was it the Orthodox Church? Was it the Roman Catholic Church? Was it the Episcopal Church? So those things they play a factor.
Yeah, I'm glad you also said that, just because the fact is a lot of people who, and we see this a lot, is a lot of people will have an issue with what they think is a demon. I'm saying what they think, because obviously not everything is a demon.
Yeah.
But a lot of people will, when they say cleanse the house, they only do it like the one way, like the one with the sage, and it's just like not every, like, especially in Shintoism over here in Japan. If I can't buy sage in a store,
Yeah.
because they just don't believe in it. And I'm like, you can't, you got to know what they believe in, just because
Yeah.
the fact is, if you went to someone like a Buddhist or someone who practices Shinto like Irene does,
Yeah.
you can't go into a household and light sage, because I told them it'd be the equivalent if I came to your house, brought in some dandelion, set them on fire, used the smoke, and I said, I'm cleansing your house of spirits, trust me. And you're like, okay.
Yeah. No, that's true. The paranormal, the supernatural manifests itself differently accordingly to cultures and religions from around the world. And
Hmm.
so it's very important to be astute of that, belief system. For example, maybe for a Christian, a jinn might be an evil deity, right? But, some beliefs in Islam believe that it's a neutral deity or it's a trickster. And so we have to be really careful with, what we say and how we conduct ourselves when we tell people that, we are demonologists. I know a couple of people, like I said, Chris McKinnell, Ralph Sarchi, Rich Valdez, Bill Slevin, Dave Giuliano, Mike Salerna, are a couple of people that I know that have been in this field for quite some time, and they're reputable. And I know that they are also people of the faith, and they've got experience dealing with this type of work. And that's the thing too. And that's just a cool term to throw around. It's like, well, I'm a demonologist. Well, good for you. Uh,
Yeah.
you read a couple of books, you watch a couple of YouTube videos, and you take a test online, and all of a sudden you're a demonologist. No, it's more than that. You
Wow.
Definitely
have
more
to
than
be,
YouTube,
yeah.
because there's so
Well,
many
and here's the thing. Here's the problem that I have with that too. A lot of these people also that say that they're a demonologist don't believe in demons, and they don't believe in angels, or they don't believe in God, but yet they're demonologists. So if you believe in Christian demons, then you have to know, and you would have to believe that there are angels, and then you would also have to believe that there is a God and the Jesus. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
stop wasting my time and saying that you're a demonologist when you're not. You don't believe in the same thing that I do. And what's going to end up happening is you're going to take your little training, your little knowledge that you got from the encyclopedia with no real world experience or application,
Yeah.
and you're going to go to someone's home and you're going to misdiagnose them, and you're going to say that there's a demon, and then you're going to cause more stress on the family.
Yeah.
That's always a very dangerous and slippery slope to go down.
We've talked to someone who was a paranormal investigator, and they were contacted by someone who they had someone in their house. There's an 89-year-old woman. That age is important to what we're gonna say next on it, but he had to work, but luckily she was also able to contact someone closer to her at that time. And the team went out there and they told this lady, "You have two demons in your house that cannot there's no way to exercise to get rid of them. You can't. They also have two portals in your house that cannot be closed." And they left. So as soon
Yeah,
as he heard that, he got pissed. He went down there, and he was like, it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
why would you tell an 89-year-old woman you have a demon in your house with a portal open? There's nothing you can do about it. They're just here. You deal with it.
Well, I feel like that's the problem with this whole paranormal world, right?
Mhm.
Everyone is an expert in something.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks that they know something, and you come into a situation without experience, without any knowledge, and actually no training, theological training, nothing like that, no mental health training, that sort of stuff,
Mhm.
and you're just adding another layer of stress to the family. Case in point, had a case a few years ago in the Warren Legacy Foundation, about 3 years ago, where a family reached out to us, and the family was like, hey, we have our individual, this young man, is suffering from a mental condition, double schizophrenia, that sort of stuff. They believe they are experiencing this sort of activity. They're seeing
Mm-hmm.
things,
Mhm.
hallucinating, and the family wanted to be supportive. And they were like, okay, so they contacted a team. The team came out, charged them $5,000 to set up their equipment. And then on top of that, when they left, the team told the kid with the mental health issue that he had 72 legions of demons within him.
What?
And yes, 72 legions of demons. And not only that, though, the psychic medium took an online course the week before and got certified as a psychic. And so they were feeling this. And so when they came to us, we tried to de-escalate the situation the best way that we could. We did the first encounter, the first video interview, to try to find out what was going on, meet the family. And so we lost contact for a few weeks. And when we call back, we finally get a hold of the family. We asked the family, hey, how are you doing? How's everything going? And they're like, not good at all. And it was a heartbreaking case because come to find out that the person who was dealing with the double schizophrenia, the multiple personality disorder, actually took his life. And he left a
Mm.
death note saying, I am taking my life because the psychic told me I had 72 legions of demons. So, and so this is not a game. People think that this
No.
is, it's one thing to go and explore abandoned buildings or haunted locations, and that's fine and dandy.
Mm,
I think it can help prepare you on how to use your equipment. But if you've never worked with a family before, if you've never worked a residential case before,
yeah.
you'd probably be working it. It's a little difficult in being able to isolate the problem, the supernatural problem, and then you're also trying to get the natural. You're trying to get the natural stuff set aside, like trying to find out what's going on with the family emotionally, physically, mentally, financially. What's the history of the property? What is the each individual, I guess, background of the family members? And then
Yeah.
you try to put that together with trying to find out if there really is any supernatural phenomena. And most people can't do that. It takes a lot of experience and maturity to be able to talk to families and work residential cases.
Yeah.
That is great. I didn't even know you could go online and get certified as a psychic.
Well, I mean, it happens. It happens. I think just like there are metaphysical schools that teach demonology, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, it's a metaphysical school, which means that they're teaching a different array of belief systems and different skills. So I'm
Mm,
sure that you're going to get a true demonology certificate from a metaphysical school that teaches. And my question is, who's the source? Who is the teacher? Are they
yeah.
trained by the church? Are they clerics? Do they have some sort of mental health background? Have they worked cases before? Have they been assessors for the church or a religious organization? Where are you getting this information from? Who is training you, and what is their background? That's the most important thing that I look for.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, no, it's frustrating. It is frustrating. And in the sea of Facebook, you have many other groups out there that they're good groups. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good professional groups that are doing the very best that they can
Mhm.
to help families. Then you have other ones that they just go online, they design a T-shirt, and they give themselves a name, ABC Paranormal. They buy
Mm.
$1,000 of equipment, and all of a sudden they are paranormal experts or investigators.
I feel like we
Uh,
know teams like that, which is
yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's. I
And
mean,
Everybody knows a team that's like that out there,
yeah,
right? And
yeah.
everyone knows that. Well, I'm a clairvoyant, and I said, okay. Like, mm-hmm. I said,
Oh,
no, you're not. No, you're not. Because they said, how do you know? Because I'm clairvoyant. Because I know. And I said, no, you're not.
yeah. Well, it's just like nothing against like mediums and clairvoyants and people who are intuitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I work with some of the great. I work with some of the greatest minds with the foundation, and I know a lot of great people too who have these abilities. But they also solely don't just rely on their abilities. They
Yeah.
rely on their teammates. They rely on the evidence. They rely on the equipment, and they rely on together as a whole team to be able to identify what
Mhm.
the phenomena is. And even then, like when we say paranormal investigations, it's a pseudoscience at its best. There
Yeah.
really isn't a way to really say, well, this is a demon or a poltergeist in that sense. The equipment's not going to tell you. So
No.
even at best with using all the equipment, how do
Yeah.
you not know that that's not your own energy projecting from the equipment?
Yeah.
How do you not know it's not faulty equipment? So we just have to
yeah,
be really careful. So I have
Yeah.
to be the big skeptic when I go in, but especially when it comes to cases that are demons, right? Or family calls, hey Padre, I think I've got a demon. Okay, well, what's going on? Okay, cool. All right, we were in the discovery phase, 6 7 months. Come to find out, there's no demon.
No.
It's just underlying mental health conditions, traumatic events, and people nestle themselves in this idea that there's something supernatural. Which, yeah, mental health and demonic possession can coincide, but it's
Mhm.
false view. Which you have people who are they're afraid, right? So they're afraid.
Yeah.
They misunderstand supernatural, or they're not willing to deal with their own traumas, their own problems, their own dilemmas, their own heartbreak. And so what they do is they create this tulpa or egregore and say that, oh, it's a demon or it's a ghost. And more often than not, it isn't anything.
And even if it's a house that has conflict in it, where people are fighting all the time, it
Yeah,
creates that also. So one time I had a friend who says, there's something in my house. I said, okay. And I said, do you have any conflict? Yeah, my daughter and I are always fighting. Well, there you go. There's your conflict right there. There's
yeah,
your problem right there. If you cut that out, it's going to get better, because you invite them in your home if you have too much conflict in your home, and you have to be very careful what you do in your home. And that's especially if you're sensitive yourself. You have to be very careful, because you might attract them to come into your home, especially if you don't know what you're saying or what you're doing in your house, and the kids are always at each other's throats and everything else like that. I say, yeah, that's a good that's
yeah.
good energy.
Energy attracts energy. Light attracts
Yeah,
light. You know,
yeah,
so fix your home situation. Any
yeah,
instability and any conflict at home,
yeah,
can cause and create an environment, right? So
yeah,
there's cause and effect.
yeah,
That's really what it is. For
yeah.
every action, what is it? For
There's
every
a
action,
reaction.
there's an opposite
Yeah,
but equal reaction. So if you're always constantly fighting and you're negative, and that within
yeah,
itself, yeah, it can attract certain energies
yeah,
that maybe are not friendly. But I find that if you clean house, clean up shop, stay positive, and do your very
yeah,
best to keep your affairs in order, is that you more than likely will not be a victim to any supernatural attacks. And stop watching all the shows, right? Because if you watch the little shows and all of a sudden you see something move out the corner of your eye and you think it's
mm,
something. Sometimes it's just your
yeah.
imagination. Or sometimes
In
people just want to be scared. They like being
in
scared.
Japan, if you watch videos, if they're not cleansed, they'll come out and they'll attack you.
Yeah.
And you got to be careful what you watch,
Mhm.
and what country it's from, and how bad it is. So yeah, that's why I don't watch it.
Well, yeah, I mean, like even watching scary movies, or it just like when you watch a funny movie, it
Yeah,
makes you feel good, right, and more than likely, it's going to make the environment feel better. And so it also depends too, like what you're consuming. If you're
yeah,
consuming negative junk, dark stuff, then you're
yeah,
more than likely going to bring that stuff into your home, and we don't
yeah.
want that. So stay away from
No,
it.
yeah,
Avoid the dark stuff. Watch videos of funny puppies dancing or doing something, or
yeah,
just funny stand up. Just do things like that that
yeah,
will bring comfort, happiness, peace, and joy.
yeah. It
I knew a team that went to someone's house, and I could not personally work with this team just because we investigated we went to one of those haunted locations together, and I could not stand the lead, just because the fact is he did not care about the rules at all. Like the owners will say, here here's our boundaries, here are our rules, but he just did not care, just because he was just like, I want to make a YouTube show, I want to make a TV show. If I do this, I feel like it's gonna make better show. And I'm like, no, we're not doing this. They have these rules for a reason. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna break them. That's disrespectful.
yeah.
yeah,
And they went to residential, and I'm just like, this dude has he doesn't know anything about the paranormal. He should not be going to residentials. And I knew the
Yeah,
person that he was going to, because she begged me, can you come with him? And I was like, nah, there's no way I can go. I can be in there with that dude. All we do is yell at each other because he just wants to tell everyone what to do and not listen to others and break rules.
yeah.
yeah,
And they
That's
told the
also the
person,
problem too.
they told the person, they told him, look, we only have a single family home, so we're only comfortable with like three, maybe four people in it. Not a big house. We don't want to feel overcrowded. That's what we're comfortable with.
Yeah,
yeah,
And I already told her, I'm like, I can't go because I can already tell that he has not been there. He's already breaking that rule because I see that was your guidelines. And he is saying, I want everyone, I want all hands on deck. I want as many people as possible. They're like, but that's not what we told him. I don't think he's gonna do that. And I'm like, nah, he's trying to get a lot of people out there. Sure enough, when he arrived, he brought 12 people with him.
wow,
mm,
that's quite a bit.
whatever that family felt so uncomfortable because they're just like they felt squashed together. They
Yeah.
already said we don't have room. We only have 3, maybe 4 people. He brings 12.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then I say, I kind of asked what happened after that, and they're like, when they left, besides us feeling uncomfortable, they made whatever was in the house more angry, and they
Yeah.
added something. I'm like, yeah,
Well, yeah,
I
because I
get
mean,
that.
and that happens a lot. It's the energy that they bring in. They're
Yeah.
going in with bad intentions, and not only that, though, they're not respecting personal boundaries.
Oh
No.
yeah,
When you go to a property, when you go to a location, always have respect for the property, for the
Yeah.
owners, and for the rules. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Just have some respect. Those are called ethics. And if you can't
Yeah.
abide by ethics, and if you don't have your own code of ethics, then you probably shouldn't be doing this.
yeah.
Everyone's always out for the big finale, right? Everyone's looking
Mhm.
for that big money deal.
Mhm.
Everybody
Yeah,
wants to be famous or so and so, and they have no consideration for other people.
No.
That's not right. I know some good
that's
filmmakers that
he was one of them.
have got some good experience, but even they know as well too that, hey, when a family says only 4 people only. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he worked 12 because he's like, I'm trying to get everyone on camera to make this TV show. So I'm trying to get everyone on a TV show as possible. And I'm like, not at someone's house. Especially when they say, hey, we have a small house, 3 people, maybe 4 at most, and you're bringing in 12. This is why
Well,
they were uncomfortable.
it's already stressful enough as it is for the family to reach out to people to get help. And
Yeah.
in even having 1 or 2 people there, good investigators there can create an environment of uneasiness, right? And so
Yeah.
with that, you have to build a rapport with the family. You have to gain their trust. And by not following their wishes and respecting them,
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to help the family out. Hey
No.
Charles, how are you? And I see that a lot. I see that a lot of people, they just don't care. They're
Yeah.
just doing it
Yeah.
because they want to become YouTube famous, or they want to have some sort of documentary. Look, hey, you know what? If that's what you want, power to you, but not
Yeah.
on my case. If
No.
I say,
we're working a residential case and the family says only 2, 3 people, that's it. No more, right? Because you never go alone. You're never supposed to go alone for safety reasons. You never go alone. And I still see people always going alone. So,
Well, I'm me, myself, and I. That's the only person there. So
well, granted the
sometimes,
situation where you're at, but
sometimes,
you're
yeah,
mature and wise enough to know that, okay, maybe I shouldn't do this on my own.
yeah,
But most people, they actually have no regard for other people. Sometimes they have
no,
no regard for themselves, or they don't have
yeah,
the common sense to stay safe.
yeah. I usually by myself, so my thing I have to go alone. But
Yeah,
I, yeah, but I pick and choose what I do because I know
yeah,
what I can do and I know what I can't do and I know my own energy. And the only problem is that I don't have anybody who has the same level of energy as I do,
yeah,
and it's really hard because I have to watch my own back, right?
yeah. Well, we call those exigent circumstances, and unfortunately,
Yeah,
sometimes that's just how it is. But you
yeah,
know your limits. You're
yeah.
not going after every case, and
No,
you know
no, no.
there are people that all they just want to do is when the family calls, they just want to go ahead and they want to set up equipment. The equipment
Yeah,
should be the very last thing you should be setting up.
yeah.
How about you get to
I
know
don't.
the family first and talk to them and see what's happening
Yeah,
before you even try to set up equipment?
I don't even use equipment. I don't
Yeah,
need it,
yeah.
but it's okay, But I'm fine, I'm cool with it, you
Well,
know.
yeah, as long as you're safe and you know your boundaries, that's the most
Yeah,
important thing.
yeah,
There are people that don't have the ability to be able to go in with other
yeah,
people. And that's where
yeah,
your maturity and your wisdom comes in. And that's
yeah,
fine. I always
yeah,
just always let someone else know where you're going.
yeah,
Now, I'm referring to the people who are just blatantly disregarding, other people, their
yeah.
property, their rules, and they're
Hmm.
not caring for their safety as well. And the
Yeah,
most important thing is like you have to make sure that when you're dealing with the families that now their safety, they're entrusting their problem into you, right? So you
yeah,
have to be able to delegate and make some wise decisions when you're trying to help out a family because now
yeah,
they've reached out to you,
yeah,
and so they're expecting you to keep them safe as well, help keep them safe as well.
yeah.
it's
It's
different
a
here in
lot of
Japan, though.
responsibility.
it's also different here in Japan, though, where there are no paranormal teams. I've
No.
looked. That's the first thing I did when I got to Japan is I want to dive in a paranormal community,
No.
and I was sad to find out it was only Irene.
Yeah.
There's no teams. You cannot book places to investigate. In fact, if a place is said to be haunted, they tend to close the location to the public because they're like, no, this is more
Because
of a
cultural
they're
respectful thing.
it's not only cultural and respect, is they're also afraid of a lot of shrines and some temples are made to appease a vengeful spirit. Because
Yes.
they don't know, because if a spirit gets angry, they don't know what else to do besides make a shrine, but here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where the culture makes a big difference. That's
Yeah.
the difference in cultures from around the world. And see, I can respect that, and I love that. Uh, for me, I've never really been a person to try to go investigate like haunted locations. Every once in a
Yeah.
while, I do. Like I'm going to be going to Virginia at the end of the month. I'm going to be doing a lecture, and then there's going to be an investigation. But by no means am I disillusioned. That place is there's nothing about demons. It's about teaching people how to respectfully communicate,
Yeah.
and use equipment, and how to ground themselves and say, hey, you
Yeah.
can approach this from a scientific method. You don't have to be religious, but just
No.
be mindful, because energy is energy. And even if you don't believe in these things, something could happen, but just be mindful of your interactions. Treat everybody, the living and the deceased, with respect.
One thing I will say is that prayer helps and
Yeah,
believing helps. If
yeah,
you don't believe prayer, you're not gonna remove whatever's there. That's what I think. And you gotta do it in here. You gotta believe it in
yeah.
here. If you
It's
don't
not
believe
just
it in
saying it. I agree. So many times we were like, Padre or so and so, this is not working.
yeah,
I've been saying the same thing for over and over 1,000 times. I go,
yeah, yeah.
believing in
If
what you're
you
saying,
don't believe it,
you have faith in what you're saying,
yeah.
and you find that the answer half the time is no. And it's like,
And
well, they're
you
afraid.
gotta believe that it's gonna work. Because if you don't
Yeah,
believe it's gonna work, no matter how much you say or no matter whatever you say, it's not gonna work. Like, no, don't bother saying it because you don't believe it, so it's
yeah,
not gonna
yeah.
work.
Well, and then you also have to be patient. You also have to be
Yeah,
patient.
yeah,
It's not
I
just
think,
also
yeah,
it's not
go ahead.
just if you believe it or not. It's
yeah,
also you got to find out what their religion is, because like I was telling you earlier,
Exactly.
can't
Yeah,
get you
yeah.
can't get I cannot go to a store and buy a sage. There's no metaphysical stores. You can't just go out and buy
yeah,
sage, and that's because they don't believe in sage. And I'm like, if I'm saging someone's house to cleanse the spirit, and that's not their religion,
No.
it's not gonna work. Just because I believe in
exactly.
it, they're like, I don't know what she's doing, and it's not gonna
We,
work for them.
that happened to me last year. I got a call from a family who they're Muslim, and they went to their imam, and they thought that their son was experiencing what they called a jinn, and they reached
Hmm.
out to me, and I said, "Ma'am, with all due respect, I'm Christian, I'm Catholic. I
Yeah,
cannot perform an Islamic ritual, but I
yeah.
can go in and talk to your son and talk to you, and if you'd like, I can help you refine
Hmm.
your faith, right? By you reading the Quran or whatever." And so
Yeah.
I went, I met with the family, met with the child. He was just a beautiful, gifted child, autistic, right? And
Mhm.
Hmm.
so I went in with the good intentions while they were praying and doing their thing with the Quran. I said it respectfully, if you'd like, I can bless your home in the way that I know how to, but you just
Hmm.
have to have faith. And so we
Yeah,
did that. And I did that, and the family is now fine.
yeah.
Sometimes people just need a support system, or they need to be reminded that they're not alone, and even just reaching out to someone relieves
Hmm.
a whole bunch of stress.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's true. I think more of my work is in the States. It's never in Japan.
Yeah.
Just and then I get help me, help me, help me. I got a demon in my house. Okay.
Yes.
Give me some pictures. Show your house. Take a whole bunch of pictures. Take a picture of bathroom mirror for me. And they like to hang out in the bathroom. I don't know. They usually like to hang out in the bathroom, anyways. But yeah, and give me a picture of your bedroom and stuff like that. And I said, okay, let me take a look at them. Yeah, it's no demon. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's just a whole bunch of spirits that need to go. They go, can you do it for me? Go, I can do it for you. Okay.
Yeah, the important thing is communication and understanding
Yeah,
what the client wants. So I ask clients, what do you want out of
yeah,
this? How do
yeah,
you expect us to help? Like, how can I help? What are
yeah,
you willing to do to make sure that this can go away? Or sometimes it may be a situation where the spirit is not ready to go or cross over.
yeah,
So now you have to live with it, right?
yeah,
Cohabitate with it. So how do we do that? So we set up healthy boundaries. We tell you how to speak to it. Sometimes you have to ignore it, or maybe you
yeah,
did something wrong. And so
yeah,
there's just like different scenarios, and every scenario is different. It's not always the same, and
yeah,
that takes time and understanding and
yeah,
experience. But ultimately, at the end of the day, though, as the client, you have to be willing to put in the work and want to be able to um,
yeah,
put that time in to heal.
yeah. And a lot of people don't understand, if the spirit's in their house, it's not a haunting, it could be a visitation. And
Yeah,
you have to explain the
Yeah.
difference between a visitation and a haunting. So here I am trying to explain what the
yeah,
difference is.
yeah. Transient spirits. Sometimes
Yeah.
energy just comes and it goes,
Yeah.
and sometimes
Or
you'll have a
sometimes it could be a relative, or sometimes it could be a child that died, that was your child that died, or it could be a distant relative, or it could be your grandmother, it could be your grandfather, whatever it is,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And they kind of reach out to you, so you have to listen and understand what they want, and whatever they want, you have to do that
yeah,
to
yeah, and
appease
that can
them.
be scary as well too, and that can be
Yeah,
scary. So like with
yeah,
people like us that have the experience, it's like, okay, cool. This
yeah,
this is what this might be. This is how we're going to try to help you overcome this fear.
yeah,
More importantly, the fear is the biggest thing. If we
yeah,
can help minimize the fear, because energy feeds off of your fear, it
yeah.
can potentially be something that you. It's probably not what you think it is what I'm saying.
No,
A lot of people don't understand, and so they will assume or surmise that it's something else, and it's not.
and they can't see it because they can't see it. They're afraid of it.
Yeah,
That And for me, I can see it. Sometimes I don't want to. Okay,
yeah,
I really hate I really hate my gifts. Sometimes it really puts a damper on my life. But you know, it's what I do, and that's my life, and that's it. Yeah,
yeah,
I had no choice, but it's been. I think my kids are the same thing. They have it. They all have the gift, and some hate it. Some,
I believe that these gifts, are
yeah,
divine and they are a
yeah,
gift. And I
yeah,
think, there's a lot of misunderstanding. And
yeah,
for me, it's how you use your gifts.
yeah,
If
yeah.
you're using your gifts to prey on people and make money off of them, then,
Mm-mm,
which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I'm talking about
no,
people who are preying on people specifically on their weaknesses. Uh,
yeah,
I, I I've had clients where they just rely off of psychic mediums just to breathe, to eat. My psychic
mm,
told me that I need to eat this, I need to take a bath at this time, I need to do all this, and so much of their life was dependent on this intuitive person. And
yeah,
it's like, okay, well, I understand going every once in a while, and maybe you want to get your reading, that sort of stuff. Hey, Jimmy, how are you doing, brother? Jimmy, I love Jimmy. Petronito, love that guy. He's one of the original students of Ed and Lorraine Warren as well.
mhm.
I'm
Right?
trying to talk him into doing this podcast.
Mr.
I said,
Haunted. Mr.
yes. I was
Haunted.
like, I'm a fan. You should come on the podcast. Trying to get him to. Hope
He
one
is a
day he
busy
will.
man.
Yeah.
He's a busy man. We've had conversations, but he is a busy man. I love his spirit. I love his soul. He's just genuine. But yeah, I mean, and even that. So when we have people that are victimizing individuals, right? That
Mhm,
is where the problem is.
mhm.
And so just be careful with that as well. So like the
Yeah,
gifts of these intuitive abilities, I strongly believe they are divine gifts. It's in the matter
yeah,
in which you use them. Because
exactly.
words do play. Words can make an impact. Words can
Yeah,
break your bones. And
yeah,
just think about when someone tells you that they love you. What does that invoke? It invokes a feeling of greatness. It makes you feel love. It makes you feel warm, right?
Well,
What's
hopefully it
what
does.
happens? Yeah, well, hopefully, right? We hope, right? You know, if your kid says, "Oh, I hate you," and they mean it with
Oh,
all their heart, it hurts,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
words do hurt. Words have a
Yeah.
powerful impact in our
Yeah.
lives. People will say, "Well, you know, just the words don't mean anything." Words do mean things. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
the tongue is like the sword. It is sharp.
Yeah.
It will
Yeah.
hurt. You're welcome. You're welcome,
It
Julie.
could be poisonous. It could
Yeah,
be, yeah. It could be a dagger.
yeah,
Here in
yeah.
Japan, though, that we're also so used to in Japan visiting spirits, they might not have anything to do with you. Sometimes they'll just drop by
Yeah,
your house just for a second to be like, "I'm just showing you that I can," just
yeah.
because of the fact is a lot of them have different. You might see them
Well,
somewhere in an area of town that you're used to being in, and they're just like, "I
yeah,
don't want you to mess me over here." And
Yeah.
that's
yeah,
one of those things of saying, "I can enter your house, do not disrespect me," and they just kind of take off.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of folklore out there too, as well as the oni, you know, which is supposed to be a Japanese demon, and I think
Hmm.
often that's misrepresented as well. Not the same
Hmm.
demon that we've considered in Christianity, that
Hmm.
sort of stuff.
I'm so used to seeing shadow figures over here, and also stand and stare at you. And a lot of people ask, "Why don't you go try and talk to it? How come you haven't taken a picture to show everyone?" Because it wants me to leave it alone. It doesn't want me to. So I'm like, I'm not going to do anything. It doesn't want me to. If it gets
Yeah.
upset with me, and that's also why they do the whole enter your home, just to be like, yeah, I can. I'm just showing you I can. So I'm
Yeah.
not gonna. It tells me it doesn't want me to. I'm not. Okay.
You're not gonna
Yeah,
aggravate it. You
Yeah.
know.
yep. Don't aggravate it. Respect, right? Courtesy, that sort of stuff. And sometimes you just ignore it. Believe it
Yeah.
or not, I find that when you ignore these things, they leave you alone. When
Yeah.
you give
Yeah.
it power, when you give it power, that's when
Hmm.
it starts getting more energy and it starts becoming
Hmm.
true. So the more energy, so I tell people. So being an exorcist, I've had a couple of different cases of true demonic possession where things would happen here at the house. One time, one of my crosses fell from the wall, and it's a wooden cross. It fell from the wall, and it was standing on my desk. And it's kind of hard for it to even do that because it's pointed. It's like basically the nails of Christ, and so
Hmm.
there's that would be standing on its own.
Hmm.
I've had things catch on fire. I've
Hmm.
gotten really sick with my stomach. I've had a lot of things happen to me.
Hmm.
I just ignore it. I just ignore it because of my faith. I just ignore it. I don't give it any attention. I don't pay
Hmm.
any mind to it, and I just keep on pushing forward with what I need to
Hmm.
do. It's a little
Yeah.
hard at first, but once you get used to it,
Hmm.
everybody's always saying I've got all of these different things happening to me. I've experienced this, I've experienced that. Like when I go to locations or I'm going to places, I'm closed off, right? In that sense,
Hmm.
I don't go in with any preconceived notions. I don't go in expecting for stuff to happen. I just go in, do my work, focus on the client, and if something happens, okay, I'll take a note of it. Okay, well, I just heard something or I saw something, but it's not going to
Hmm.
be like, oh my gosh, did you see that? There was like a shadow figure. I'm not. That's where you
No.
maintain your composure and your professionalism, which
Yeah.
are really important. Because if you're scared, if you act scared and you're just, oh my gosh, shouting and screaming and yelling, what
Hmm.
example is that going to leave for the client? They're going to like, oh,
Yeah.
these are people that are just as scared as we are. How are they going to help us out?
And they're gonna hightail it out the door, right? They go. You
They
say,
say, thank you. Yeah,
excuse me. You're supposed to be here with me. You're
yeah,
not supposed to do that. Like,
yeah,
okay, see
Well,
ya. Don't come back.
Well, especially in this industry, your reputation is everything. So that's
Yeah.
also why I don't investigate with people who I feel like are just disrespectful or just don't get it. But in that case, if you're also doing someone's house and you're more afraid of it, or just as afraid as they are, they're going to
yeah,
tell people who's going to want to call, who's going to
yeah,
want to come back. No one else is going to reach out to you. You're like, no, I don't want her because she's screaming along with the owners
yeah.
every knock or whatever it happens.
And
Yeah.
even that word in this field, reputation. It's kind of
Yeah.
like one of those things where you're like, I have to watch out for my reputation in the field that's supposed to be meant for helping people, but yet you
Yeah.
often you find other people competing with you. I have gotten so many haters. I've had people send me so many negative messages, or
Yeah.
people who I've never even met that don't like me, or they say, "Well, you got your degree online. You're a fake. You're a fraud." I go, "Yeah, a lot of people study online. You can go to school online. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with going to school online." right? And so the question is like, well, you didn't study at Harvard or Yale. Okay, who cares? Education
Yeah.
is education. The time you
Yeah.
invest. And so, but I often find people that they have a problem with me. They don't even know me. And I just get all these messages like, oh, you know what? Hey, I appreciate your opinion of me. That's great, but I don't really care. The people who know me know that I'm in this because I'm genuine. I've been doing this for a very long time, and I stay out of trouble. I don't get involved in any of this politics of the paranormal. I stay out of it. Hey, Sister Talia, Reverend Mother Talia, she is my Mother Superior for the order. And so I stay away from it. And people don't like that because people always want to get other people involved, or they're
Just like
trying
what
to
we were saying.
they're trying to get a rise out of you, right? I'm like, you don't want me to get involved. And so I often find, people tell me these things. Hey, Padre, you're not invited to this event because someone says they don't like you, or they spoke to the event coordinator and they said this about you. Oh, cool, that's fine. And I don't want to be there anyway. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Or the fact that is like, and it's not ego. When you have real education and training and experience, and you've been doing this for a while, people don't like other people that may know a little more than you. They get intimidated.
Yeah.
And I tell people, I'm not here to disagree with you in that sense or put you in your place. Like if we can have a wonderful conversation on a panel, if I disagree with something, I'm not going to tell you publicly. I respect your own individual thoughts, and you obviously came to that conclusion or that ideology or that thought process from your experiences. So who am I to tell you that you're wrong? But when you start victimizing people, preying on people, and then you start speaking bad about other people publicly, it's like, okay, I don't really want to be associated with you.
Yeah.
It just and that's the whole thing with this clerical world. I have a lot of good friends and colleagues that are really good clerical people. They're legitimate clerical people, and well, because part of the Vatican, they're not accepted. And it's like, well, there are other things other than the Vatican. There are different faiths in the Christian and Catholic belief system, like Episcopalian, Orthodox. There is also Anglican, and there's Lutheran. There's independent Catholicism, right? Which independent Catholicism, or Old Catholics, derived off of the Utrecht Council, I think in 1492. And basically, the disagreement was that we do not believe in papal infallibility. We believe that the College of Bishops, should have a say of what happens in the church, not one sole individual. And so there are other stipulations as that as well. So although we're not in full communion, we are considered true particular churches because we have valid apostolic succession. So like my Archbishop Indega, rest his soul, he was a retired Catholic priest. Hey, Bill, how are you? And so he was a retired Catholic priest, and he went to his archdiocese in Chicago and was like, I want to create my own religious order. Can I do it? They go, yes, as long as it doesn't confuse the followers. And so the only thing was, the disagreement was the papal infallibility. And so he created the Solomonic Order of St. Michael the Archangel, and we've been operating for over 5 years now. And then, and so that's always kind of been the issue. So people have a misunderstanding of my origins or other people's origins, or they can actually be the same, they can be doing the same thing as you, like clerical wise or maybe gift wise, but because you offer a little more experience or you're a little more value, they use their social media presence to make you look bad.
Yeah, I don't even know what's going on in the paranormal community anymore, because we were telling you before we went live. It's like we're over here in Japan trying to mind our own business from any of the U.S. drama or UK drama, and that seems to offend people to the point where they have to drag us in.
Yeah, I mean, I just ignore people like that, and I see it, and a lot of the posts that I do and that I type on Facebook are reflective of what I see. And I try to be respectful, and I tell people this is what I've noticed, and you just make an opinion. Just come to your own conclusion. Have your own thought process. Don't be led blindly. I don't do drama. I don't like it, and I stay out of it for a reason. And people don't like that, but yet somehow people still want to put, they put my name in their mouth, and it's okay.
Yeah,
it's a sweet taste. Yeah,
people are doing that to us too. We don't even know why, but we don't make it public. What they're trying to do, we just feel like you're trying to. We don't want to make it worse. We just want it to disappear. You don't like us. You don't like us.
Yeah, simple as that. Like I tell people, your opinion of me is not my concern. I really don't.
There's
care.
even people we don't know somehow don't like us.
It's like if you don't know me, you can't make a personal assumption about me. You've never met me. We've never spoken. You can't say anything. If you're going to be going off of what other people say, then be careful. Because I think everyone, there are motives. There are motives in this field. Some motives are really, really good, and some motives are trying to get to the top to become the celebrity status investigator. And I know really good people like Bill Slevin is one of them. They've put their time in this field. Joe, Frankie,
Mhm.
Chris McKinnell, a lot of these people, they have been in this field for over 20, 30 years. And it's good to see them get the recognition that they deserve as good, top-notch investigators. They've worked for it. Some people don't want to work for it. Some people, they just want to be like, I'm friends with famous people, so that means I'm going to be famous. And because I've got your phone number, I'm going to text you. Yeah, the truth is, I am good friends with a lot of well-known people, and they are in my contacts. I messaged them, hey, how are you doing? God bless. I hope everything is well. And that's it. That's as far as I go. I hope you're having a good day. Not like, hey, how are you doing? You want to work on a film project? You want to get me on this TV show? Let's do this together. Oh, did you hear this about? No, no, no. I don't do any of that stuff. Because, and not that I consider myself better than anybody, but I am on a different level. Bill Slevin, most of us, Bill Slevin, Jimmy, a lot of people, we are on a different level in the sense. And it's not that we're better. We just have more experience. And we don't have time to play those games. There are people who really need help, and we're out here trying to help people. So you like to involve us in drama? Hey, that's your prerogative. That's good for you. But I tell people, yes, I am a man of the faith, but I'm also I'm a U.S. Marine. I'm a combat veteran. We get a little rowdy. So if you got something to say, just tell me to my face. And if you can't, that lets me know how truly a man you are.
It reminds me of the Tom Holland quote where he says, if you have a problem with me, call me directly. If you don't have my number to do that, then you don't know me well enough.
Exactly. That's really what it is. My favorite quote Mike Tyson said, people just forgot what it's like to get punched in the mouth. That came from Mike Tyson. And although I don't condone violence, but that's the truth. Some people need a reality check. And sometimes that comes in the form of litigation. I had someone personally attacking me a few months ago because I didn't confirm that their friend was possessed by a demon. And so they got upset with me, and they started bad-mouthing me, and they started bashing me, and started going to my clerical friends. So I had to make my friends list private because this person was going to each individual of my friends trying to say bad things about me. And I'm like, look, first of all, I'm not a psychologist, all right? But I am a board-certified mental health coach with a master's in pastoral counseling, which means I have over 10,000 hours as clinical hours as a chaplain. Chaplains are important. We have chaplains in the military. We have them in the hospitals. We have them in the prison systems. So that is a very noble and true profession. Now, so my job is to work alongside people that are licensed mental health professionals. So I can make a recommendation or make a referral and say, hey, this person is suffering. I believe this person is suffering from this. They think that this is what they're going through. I'd like to make a referral and make a recommendation that maybe they get evaluated, or get put in a psych hold for 24 hours. But I have to confirm that with a licensed therapist or a psychologist that can make that determination. I just give opinions, or I just give referrals. And so I don't diagnose, but I work alongside. So I've seen the dangers of this whole paranormal drama, this whole paranormal world. People are delusional. People have problems. And I think, honestly, people just do it because they get gratification by seeing other people suffer as well, which it's evil. Which I think it's evil.
I also think that there are people who don't know they have abilities who suffer also. And that really is sad because they can't reach out to anybody. They don't think anybody who understands them either. And I think that's why we're here, to help other people too, with their psychic abilities, and how to control it, and how to make peace with it. It's really sad because
I know. I agree with you. You people like you and Amanda are setting time aside to do a show like this, to bring light to this, to the field, right? This platform serves as a place for people to reach out to get help, right? If they need it, or maybe if they're interested, they can learn a little more. And unfortunately, a lot of the stuff is misconstrued. And
Yeah.
I tell people I'm not an intuitive. I don't know anything about psychics, right? But I have really good
Mm-hmm.
colleagues and friends that are gifted, and I can
Mm-hmm.
send you their way.
Yeah.
And just because I don't necessarily agree or have a difference in opinion with your belief system doesn't mean I'm still
Mm-hmm.
going to judge. I'm not going to judge you. I'm going to be
Yeah.
Yeah.
loving, accepting, and compassionate. And although I may not agree with that ideology or agree with that
Mm-hmm.
narrative, I'm still going to
Mm-hmm.
help you out the best way that I can.
Yeah.
And if it's not within the realm of my ability, then
No.
I'll send you somewhere else because I
You
don't
know,
have the answers.
the only problem was that my son, when he was coming into his abilities, he came into his abilities when he was going into elementary school, and he was seeing a lot of stuff that he didn't want to, and it bothered him a lot. And at that time, I couldn't see anything, so I couldn't help him. But all I could do was support him and listen
Yeah,
to him. And when I came into mine, it, yeah, I felt, oh my God, now I understand how he feels. And
yeah,
like, you, especially in Japan, you're all alone.
yeah,
Nobody there is going to believe you. Nobody's going to listen to you. No, and I don't tell anybody what I do because I don't want to be tossed in a loony bin. Okay, they think I'm cuckoos
yeah,
because of
yeah.
what I do, and it's really difficult. And I think Amanda understands that too because she's reaching out, and that's how she found me, and that's how we found each other because we both live here. We both understand what it's like living here
Yeah.
and having certain abilities and not, you know. I have a friend who's also Catholic. Okay,
Yeah.
he said you can't do what you're doing. I said why? I said aren't these gifts a gift from God? And and I'm supposed to be using them in the right way, right? And they said, well, you can't be doing that. You can't be doing this. You can't be doing that. You can't be going there. You can't be going there. I said, why not? You can't be going to a Shinto shrine because you're supposed to be Catholic. I said, I
Yeah.
go to get cleansed and feel and to get a peace of mind after what I do because if I don't, I just get so exhausted mentally and physically, and I need that little thing to make me feel like okay, I've done it. I feel better, and it's just a little boost of energy that I need
Right.
because
No,
I've
and
been
and and I can understand. From a clerical standpoint, I'm supposed to tell you that you shouldn't be doing that. But the
yeah
truth is, I'm no one to tell you what to do.
yeah
If
yeah
that's something that brings you comfort, peace, and joy, I'm not here to judge you. I can't do
yeah
that. Sometimes
but
that is the only thing that you have, and as long as
but
you're happy with
people
yourself, people are
people
bad.
can
People are rude and mean, and I see it all the
yeah
time.
yeah
It's like you probably need a cleansing yourself.
yeah
I don't.
yeah
I
you
don't think
probably
I don't think there's enough holy water to get that out of you.
no no
And
no
that's the
yeah
truth. That's the truth.
yeah
From a clerical standpoint, I'm supposed to see, say, okay, well, maybe they have a point, and a lot of it too can be ignorance or misunderstanding.
yeah
Many people don't understand, or they have a linear way of thinking, or they have an illogical way of thinking, or maybe that's because how they were raised and they don't
yeah
know anything else. So,
yeah
but my religious degree in divinity lets me know that there are other things, other
yeah
faiths. There are over 30,000 religions in the world, and each of our faiths it's subjective to us, right? They are our own subjective truths. And so I may not agree with point A, and I may not agree with point B, but at
yeah
the end result, it's my job to help guide you to where you need to be. And so I
and
will
I
help you the best way that I can, help you the best way that I can, but
yeah
not have you compromise your moral and your
no.
integrity. And,
And you
and
know what?
not
After
be
what I do, I think I do cleansing because I need it. It's not something that you say, okay, on to the next case. I go, nope,
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
not like
it's a very delicate situation. You just have to do the very best that you can, and as long as
yeah.
that's what I tell people. As long as you are happy,
Mm-hmm.
that's good. That's good. That's the most important thing. I tell people, I just want you to be happy. I want you to be content. I want you to feel fulfilled. And if all of that is doing it for you, then I'm happy for you.
Yeah,
Humanistically speaking, I'm happy for you because
yeah,
I'd like to see all my friends and family succeed, prosper, and be happy, right?
yeah.
I do study different theories just because it helps, even if I don't believe it, but it also helps me have a better conversation with people. Is I don't know who I'm going to meet in the future and what their ideas
Yeah,
are, and if you
Yeah.
happen to also believe in that, I can better have a conversation with you. And there's also
Yeah.
time on this show where I'll say, well, there is a theory, and I'm not saying I believe it or not, but there might be
Yeah.
someone out there that makes more sense. But I
yeah,
also know in a paranormal field, whether I maybe I don't believe it, or one of those things where I just can't see it.
Yeah.
Who knows if I'm actually right or not? We don't.
Yeah.
That's the thing with the paranormal, is you don't fully know if you're
No.
right or wrong.
you don't know. I mean, you have faith in you, and you're hopeful that you can make sense of what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, this is at its best a pseudoscience. So
Mm-hmm.
although we have all this nice equipment and we can capture and measure energy, who knows
Yeah.
what we really are engaging with? Who knows if that really
Yeah.
is a spirit, or maybe that's our own energy? We don't know, but we're
Mm-hmm.
hoping. As human beings, we have a need, and we want to have that capacity to make sense of things. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think the paranormal, and even the paranormal within itself. I have a good friend of mine. She's a good clinical psychologist. Um, there's a study. She was doing a report, I think, writing a book, that a lot of investigators who are into paranormal may have actually gone through some sort of traumatic event or experience that may want to
Mm-hmm.
help understand the supernatural. But
Yeah.
it is also considered a coping mechanism. So we cannot
Mm-hmm.
judge people cope with their
No.
feelings as long as
No.
it's healthy and not destructive.
The thing is, it's really funny because people say, "I want your gifts." I said, "No, you don't. No, you
Yeah.
don't." I said, "No, you don't." And they go, "Why not?" Because I'd love to have a gift for a day. I said, "No, you don't." Because
You know,
you don't. You really don't. It's the most difficult thing
everyone's
to
burden
live.
is different. It can be burdensome, and that's how I feel at
Yeah.
times. There are times when I wake up, I'm just tired and I want to quit. It,
Yeah, I just want to crawl back in my bed and just cover my
yeah.
face.
There's
I
been
don't
times
want to
when I've woken
go.
up to like 6, 7 different messages of people needing help. I remember there was one time where a few months ago I had about 100 chaplaincy calls in 2 weeks.
Oh my
Oh
gosh,
gosh.
Right? Just people
there's
needing to talk to somebody. Just people needing to talk
Mm-hmm.
to somebody and trying to make sense of
Mm-hmm.
what was happening in their home. And a lot of it just stemmed from, from hurt feelings, emotions,
Mm-hmm.
going through some bad stuff in life, being dealt a
Yeah.
bad hand, and questioning the existence and the morality of life and God. And so it can be burdensome. Like doing the work that we do can be tiring. And there are times when I'm
Yeah.
just, which is why I have my set schedule. So Sundays and Mondays, I don't do anything paranormal. I am off those days, right? Sunday and
Yeah.
Mondays, it's my ministry days. I focus more on chaplaincy, pastoral counseling, and that sort of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Um, but
Yeah.
the rest of the week, I focus on what I can.
Yeah.
No, Christopher, I have not had the privilege to be on the Legion of Exorcists, but I am really good friends with Bishop Long, wonderful individual, Rich Valdez, and Rita Strabula. So I know, and Reverend Sean Whittington, good, outstanding people that I follow, that I know. I've had some good interactions with them, but no, I have not been on that show.
Um, where Amanda lives, it's more painful because a lot of people were killed after the bombing of Hiroshima and after the bombing of Nagasaki and after the crucifixion of Christians. It's
Yeah,
it's really sad where she lives, but more on my side, it's more the suicide victims.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and
right,
Tokyo is the most haunted
right.
city, and I don't have to pay anything to go see anything haunted. I just go out my front door and I go, okay, there's that, and I say,
Right.
okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna stay
Right.
away from that, and that. And I'm gonna go this
Because
way.
because because there's impressions. They have left. These historical events have left impressions
Yeah,
in that environment, in that
it
space. And
that
some people are adept and are attuned to being able to experience these things.
yeah. I think that's why on her side, that's why there are more shadow people than on my side.
Yeah.
It's right down in your face.
No,
Here you can see full body apparitions because the suicide victims will come back and say,
Well,
So
yeah,
what do you want? Right? Ha
just
ha
like
ha ha. That's it.
and I agree with that. A lot of it has to do with location and culture, and
Yeah.
especially with the work that I do with the foundation.
Yeah.
Being the manager for the Spanish division, I have to manage over 21 Spanish countries, and each Spanish country has their own folklore. They have their own belief systems, their own
Yeah.
religious system. Sometimes it's umbanda, kimbanda, santeria, brujeria, curandera,
Yeah.
and so all of that stuff manifests differently. And so it's
Yeah.
important to understand that you know diversity is important in this field.
Yeah. And a lot of times in Japan, with a lot of, okay, unaliving yourself. I'm gonna do it this way, okay? Because it sounds really stupid, anyways. With a lot of suicide people, it's like there's a lot of problems as far as being. There's a lot of jealousy involved, right? Because they didn't have that life that you have.
Yeah.
So you have to be very careful which spirits you interact with, and you have to be very vigilant. You have to be really grounded in order to be near them because they will tell you to. You should do the same thing as what I did, right?
Can I counter that
Exactly.
statement? Can I counter that statement? And may I add, you need to do the same thing with the living.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
You need to do
So
the same
Because
thing with the living.
and
You
you know what? I
interact
lived in a
yourself,
really
around yourself. People are always jealous or envious of you for whatever
yeah.
reason, and they try to bring
Yeah.
you down, or they want what
Yeah.
you have, or they try to lure you into like this life of you can
Yeah.
have all of these good things. I'm
Yeah.
content with where I'm at. I'm retired from the military.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get my pension, everything that I
Yeah.
do is for free. I volunteer my time. The only thing I
Yeah.
always tell people is like, if I'm going to go to a location, I always ask that you cover my travel expenses. And if you can't, that's fine. We'll work way around it. The only
Yeah.
time that I ever make money is like if I do a lecture. So I have a
Yeah.
talent agency, right? They
Yeah.
represent me. And
Yeah.
so I give educational lectures. And so obviously that stuff is paid for. They
Yeah.
have to pay me because, I am still taking time out of my family for
Yeah.
flying, but other than
for
that, for the most part, I'm content with where I'm at.
for
But
anyone
there's
out
a
there
list.
listening who didn't know, Buddhism has the belief that if you're not happy in this life,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
are allowed to keep it social media friendly.
yeah,
Unalive yourself.
Relieve, yeah, relieve your sadness and start
Yeah.
again in the next life.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mental
yeah,
health is not really a thing here. You can't find
No.
psychologists or psychiatrists or anything like
yeah,
that to go to if
Yeah.
you need mental
Yeah.
health. There's one of those they
Yeah.
believe you're not happy, go ahead and try again in the next life, which,
yeah,
as Irene said, makes a lot of
Yeah.
those kind of
And
spirits.
yeah.
I lived in the worst haunted place ever. I don't even want my worst enemies to live where I lived. And 18, when we left, 18 people have splat. And yeah, that place was so bad. Like there were so many portals, there were so many, and I reached out for help. Nobody would want to help me, even anywhere in America or anywhere in Britain. I said, okay, I'm done. Like, like my husband and I said, we're leaving. He goes, yep, we're leaving. So we packed up our 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 bags and we just left. And
Yeah.
that's why we moved here. I mean, I don't live too far away from that place, right? It's only 45 minutes by car.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I call it hell on earth living there. I mean, my crucifix on my wall would fly off my wall and land upside down. And it scared the bleepers out of my kids. And I said, how dare you scare my kids? That's what I said, shame on you. Like, and they said,
Yeah.
well, you can go ahead and kill yourself. I said, no, I'm not. I'm gonna stay alive. Yeah, that's what you did to yourself, but doesn't mean everybody else should do that to themselves. And I said, I'm not doing that. And we
Yeah.
packed up our stuff and we left. I left half of the stuff in
You're
that
gonna
place
you're gonna have
because
to
I did.
you're gonna have to share more of that story with me on Messenger.
Yeah, I didn't want that the energy from that art items that I owned come to this house. And that's why I said I'm ditching it. I don't care. I can always buy new stuff, right?
That's right.
so so we ditched half the stuff. And I said, "Nah, that place is bad. I don't want to bring it here. I just want to bring good energy into this new place. And I'm not going to bring that bad energy to this place. I said, I'm done. I'm good." So we ran. We literally ran. Like when we bought this place, okay, we're leaving in 3 days. So I said, we got to move. We packed everything up. We just hightailed it out of there. And the thing is, it was so bad. Like it tried to stop us from leaving there, right? And
Yeah.
it was like, no, I'm leaving. You're not gonna stop me. I'm gonna go. And it followed me here. It followed me here, and I said, "Nah, you're not gonna tell me what to do, and you're not gonna be mean to me. You're not gonna threaten me, not telling me what I can tell you, not what I can say about that old place. You're not gonna bother me." And it left. Thank God. But it was telling me, "Don't you dare talk about where you used to live." And I rarely talk about it because I don't want to give it energy because I know what kind of
Yeah.
spirit it was. It was really dark. It was black energy. It had no eyes. It just was whatever was just black, right?
Yeah.
And it had no feeling. It was cold. It was bad. So I just said, no, I'm not going to talk about it. Sometimes I won't talk about it. Sometimes I will. Today I'm not afraid of it, so that's why we'll talk about it. But there's a limit of how much you're going to talk about it, right? But
Yeah.
this much is I'm going to give you, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just pretty. It was really bad. I mean, our kids were always sad. It was so tense. You cut it with a knife living there, and so we left. And we left on good terms, and we said, "Okay, that's it. We're gone."
That's
That's
awesome.
why
I'm
I
glad to
can
hear
laugh
that.
about it. I can laugh
I'm
about it
glad to
So
now.
hear
before we wrap up, though, what advice would you give to someone wanting to enter the paranormal?
don't get into the paranormal for the wrong
Yeah.
reasons. Don't do it. I mean, there's enough teams already as it is.
Mhm,
Ask yourself, why do you want to do it? What your
mhm,
intentions are?
mhm,
What's your goal? If it's
mhm,
for YouTube, like subscribers and money, then
Oh,
probably
please
not
don't do
do
it
it.
then.
Please don't do it. We have enough of those already. But if you're
mhm.
going to do it, just learn from people. Just learn from people. There's a lot of reputable people out there who have experience. Learn from them. Take courses, take classes, and
Yeah.
get some experience.
Yeah.
Well,
And don't go out going willy nilly.
You know.
thank you
Well,
so
thank
much
you.
for joining us today.
I
We
appreciate
appreciate
it.
it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you
We'll
for
have to
having
have
me.
we'll have to have you back on another
I'd
time.
Yeah.
love to. I'd love to come back. I just have to get
And
dinner going right
just
now.
do a little bit longer next time. We'll have
We'll
more
also
Yeah.
so
in,
we'll have to start earlier.
yeah.
Well, no. We'll go according to your schedule too. I mean, I can't have you ladies start at 7 a.m. Come on now. What type
Well,
of job
we
you
have
working?
before, but
Yeah.
7 a.m. is usually like our cutoff time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
usually, like
Yeah.
during the school years, I have to be up by 6 o'clock anyways, and I tell them I
Yeah.
can't be up. I can't do it at 6 anyways because I have to make sure my daughter's off to school. But then after
Yeah.
at 7, that's when I can.
Yeah.
Irene is usually up around then because I asked
Well,
her.
I'm excited to have been here. Thank you so much for inviting me, and I can't wait till we do this again.
All
Yeah.
right, and we'll have to see you next time. Everyone out there who joined us, thank you so much. We
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you
for
for
now.